Welcome to TeaHouse Dives. What if the greatest love story wasn't built on fate, but on quantum physics? What if strawberry milk, a broken digital watch, and two children arguing over math were actually telling the same story? If you're wondering whether Genius Girlfriend should be your next C-drama, let's answer the question that actually matters. Is Genius Girlfriend for you? Here at TeaHouse Dives, this isn't a review. A first tip is simply an invitation. No scores, no ratings, no spoilers beyond the opening episodes. Just whether this story matches the kind of viewer you are. And after watching episodes 1 and 2, I don't think Genius Girlfriend is actually about genius. I think it's about loneliness, their love language. At first glance, this drama looks like another youth romance. We have two childhood friends, a reunion years later, a brilliant female lead, an academic rival. We've seen those ingredients before. But this drama speaks a completely different language. Instead of flowers, it speaks through physics. Instead of destiny, it speaks through science. Instead of saying, I missed you, it asks what happens when two particles remain connected across impossible distances. That idea appears immediately through one tiny object, a broken digital watch. The watch no longer tells time. Their friendship has been broken for years. Yet, when he comes close, the stars inside the watch suddenly light up again. For everyone else, it's broken. For the female lead, it's an entire universe she carries on her wrist. That tells us something important about this drama. The science is never just science. Every scientific idea is actually describing an emotion, and nowhere is that more obvious than the time capsule. When they bury their wishes beneath a tree, they compare themselves to two leaves sharing the same sunshine. They're separate, they're different, but they grow towards the same light. Then he says something that perfectly captures this drama. If parallel universes exist, then we'll be friends in every single one. On the surface, it's a small child talking about science, but emotionally, it feels like a promise. No matter what timeline, what distance, or what version of themselves exists, they'll always find each other. Then comes one of my favorite lines in the opening episodes. I thought the sun would never take a day off, but that summer, it took a long leave. For a child, losing your best friend doesn't just feel like losing one person. It feels like the universe itself stopped working. The sun disappears, summer ends, and the world suddenly becomes a much lonelier place. This becomes even more clear once we meet the female lead. She's a genius. She can solve impossible math problems, calculate equations in seconds, explain marine biology to professional scientists. But she cannot figure out one simple thing: people. She doesn't start a human observation diary because she's cold. She starts it because she's lonely. Sometimes the most brilliant people are also the most isolated. Being a genius isn't a superpower, it's a different kind of vulnerability. She desperately wants to understand why everyone else seems to connect so naturally. And that's where the male lead enters. Not to make her smarter, she's already brilliant. He becomes something much more important. He becomes her translator. One of my favorite ideas in these first two episodes is that this isn't simply a story about two childhood friends reconnecting. It's more about translation. She's able to translate the universe. She understands the world through equations, theories, observations, and facts. He translates people. He understands the emotions she can't quite put into words. He knows when to make her laugh, when to defend her, when to quietly stand beside her. Neither of them asks the other to change. He never asks her to stop being brilliant. She never asks him to become a genius. Instead, they make each other's world understandable. She teaches him how to think. He teaches her how to belong. And I think that's what makes this relationship feel so refreshing. It isn't built on changing one another. It's built on helping each other understand a world they couldn't fully see alone. Another one of my favorite scenes comes during her birthday. He gives her physics books. He tears out the answer pages because he wants her to think he already mastered everything. Then within seconds, he admits the truth. It's such a small moment, but it tells us exactly who he is. He wants to impress her. He's not just showing off, he's trying to be worthy of her. But he would rather be honest than perfect. Her response is equally beautiful. She doesn't care about the answers. She loves the process of thinking. That scene quietly tells us what this relationship will become. Not competition, but collaboration. And then that idea appears again when they talk about high energy particles. He tells her that when particles collide, something entirely new can be created. And then she smiles and adds, new stars. That tiny exchange explains their entire friendship. They're not rivals trying to defeat each other. They're two forces colliding in just the right way to create something neither could become alone. The best relationships aren't about winning, they're about creating something new together. On the surface, it's just another school trip, but symbolically, it's one of the strongest sequences in these episodes. When Professor Shen asks her how she would save dying corals, her solution? Create artificial reefs, places where turbulence slows down, where fragile life can safely grow. And then the drama immediately shows us what that looks like emotionally. She gets lost, she's terrified, she's overwhelmed. And of course, the male lead is the one carrying the flashlight. He's her artificial reef. He creates calm where her world becomes chaos. All her brilliance means nothing when she's alone in the dark. She needs him, not because she's weak, but because even the strongest people need someone to hold the light. The second episode shifts from science to memory. After 5 years apart, their reunion feels awkward, not because they stopped caring, because they've forgotten how to express what never disappeared. During the day, everything feels uncomfortable. He never gives her the strawberry milk he bought for her. The conversations, it feels forced. The silence becomes louder than the words. Then nighttime arrives, a QQ message, and suddenly they're children again. They're not pretending, no performance. By morning, their friendship doesn't need rebuilding. It simply resumes, it continues. The episode ends with my favorite metaphor so far. It turns out understanding doesn't need to be rebuilt. Even after years apart, just like a system reboot, you're still my default settings. That may be one of the most romantic lines I've heard in a youth drama lately. Not because it's poetic, because it's perfectly true to who these characters are. They don't confess with flowers, they confess with operating systems. They don't speak romance, they speak science. And somehow, that sounds even more romantic. So, who is this drama actually for? You'll probably love Genius Girlfriend if you enjoyed quiet character driven stories more than constant plot twists. If you love symbolism hidden inside ordinary objects. If you enjoy science becoming emotional language instead of classroom lectures. If your favorite romances are built on friendship first. And if you appreciate stories that trust us to notice recurring imagery instead of explaining everything. But if you're expecting fast pacing, love triangles, constant misunderstandings, or explosive melodrama, this probably isn't the drama you're looking for. Its biggest strength, it's also like its biggest risk. It moves gently. It's asking you to observe, not rush. For me, the biggest surprise wasn't how intelligent the drama is. It was how emotionally intelligent it is. Every scientific metaphor, every strawberry, every equation, every star, and every drawing at the end of each episode is quietly asking the same question. Can someone truly understand you without asking you to become someone else? Maybe that's why the broken watch still shines. Maybe that's why the time capsule still matters. Maybe that's why the system always returns to its default settings. The sun may take a long leave. Childhood summers may end. Friends may disappear from our daily lives. But some connections don't break. They simply wait until the sun returns. If that kind of storytelling speaks to you, I think Genius Girlfriend deserves a place on your watch list. Until next time, keep your tea warm and keep diving beneath the surface.